Indian Wells is often referred to as the fifth slam, taking place on the 6th of March in 2023. It's the first big event since the Australian Open for the men, and the second for the women. Indian Wells is the penultimate event before the clay court season. It's been played since 1974, hosted in the second largest permanent tennis stadium in the world, in Indian Wells, California, and directed by former world number 2 Tommy Haas. The cream of the crop have come to the desert to fight for the title. 2022 saw two new Indian Wells champions. Iga Swiatek took her third WTA 1000 title in her career, crushing Maria Sakkari in the final. In the men's, Taylor Fritz took a surprise victory in the final, ending Nadal's 21-match win streak. He was the first American to win since Agassi in 2001, and the first Californian-born man to ever win it. We saw the downfall of the then world number 1 Medvedev, losing to Monfils in the third round. Nadal holding off the young upstart Alcaraz, as well as a fantastic match between Nadal and Kyrgios in the quarter-final. The women's event featured Iga Swiatek on a dominant tear, on her way to a 31-match win streak that wouldn't end until Wimbledon later in the year. Records. The men's tournament has been won 5 times by both Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer. The women's record is 2 wins, held by 9 women: Martina Navratilova, Mary Jo Fernandez, Steffi Graf, Lindsay Davenport, Serena Williams, Kim Clijsters, Daniela Hantuchova, Maria Sharapova and Victoria Azarenka. Previous winners. The most recent winners of the men's are, in order of recency, Taylor Fritz, the world number 5, Cam Norrie, the world number 12, and Dominic Thiem, the world number 102. The most recent female winners are Iga Swiatek, the world number 1, Paula Badosa, world number 22, and Bianca Andreescu, world number 36. Seeding. The top 3 men's seeds are Carlos Alcaraz, the US Open champion, Stefanos Tsitsipas, the Australian Open finalist, and Casper Ruud, the US Open finalist. The men's wildcards notably include big-hitting doublesman Jack Sock, a recovering Gael Monfils, Dominic Thiem and Stan Wawrinka, former world number 3s on the comeback trail, and young Chinese talent Wu Yibing. The 3 highest women's seeds are Iga Swiatek, the US Open champion, Aryna Sabalenka, the Australian Open champion, and Jessica Pegula, the Guadalajara 1000 champion. Notably, the wildcards include Grand Slam winner Sofia Kenin. Some prominent players missing from the draw are Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, Nick Kyrgios, Marin Cilic, Anett Kontaveit and Zheng Qinwen. ATP favourites: Carlos Alcaraz. Carlos Alcaraz is our top seed. As world number 2, we know him as a complete player with big shots, variety and intense physicality. A Grand Slam champion and a double Masters champion, the top seed is one of those most likely to win the event. Last year was a good run for Alcaraz as he built to claiming his first Masters title. He was denied in the semi-finals by Nadal, but defeated many names, including the defending champion Cam Norrie. This year, Alcaraz comes to the event having played the Golden Clay Swing in South America, meaning he hasn't played a match on hard court since October of last year. His form is good. He took a title in Buenos Aires and made the final in Rio de Janeiro. Alcaraz did miss the Australian Open due to an injury, but seems to have mostly recovered. Alcaraz is capable of winning the event, but equally capable of getting knocked out early. But he is relatively untested since losing his world number 1 status. Taylor Fritz. The defending champion comes to Indian Wells at his career-high ranking of world number 5, giving him the number 4 seed. His aggressive forehand and big serve have brought him to this high. But in retrospect, Fritz's victory last year was a little bit fortunate in terms of draw and match difficulty, and both players turning up injured to the final. But he'll be motivated to silence any doubters this year. In 2022, Fritz took the win over an injured Nadal in the final, turning up with a foot injury of his own. On his path to the final, he beat Munar, de Minaur, Kekmanovic and Rublev. Historically, the event has been a good one for him, having made the semi-final in 2021. Fritz started 2023 strongly at the United Cup, where Team USA won. He won 4 matches out of his 5 for his country, beating some strong players. However, the Australian Open went very poorly and saw him knocked out in round 2 by Alexei Popyrin. Since then, he's had some good form, with 2 semi-finals and 1 title coming in Delray Beach. Let's be honest, Fritz's ranking and seed is inflated by a lucky win here last year. But he does have good form and should be extra motivated. A semi-final here would be a fine result for the young Californian. Alternatively, if things go really poorly and he exits from round 1, it may see him leave the top 10. Daniil Medvedev. The former world number 1 seems to have captured top form again. After a relatively dismal 2022, he's got the greatest form of anyone on the men's tour. Medvedev comes into Indian Wells back in the top 10, with a number 5 seed and a 14-match win streak. The master of defensive court coverage and big serves is back, and looks to be the hot favourite to win another Masters title. 2022 was a strange year for Medvedev. Shortly after becoming world number 1, he hit the worst patch of form of his life. At Indian Wells, he was knocked out in round 3 by the underdog Gael Monfils as the top seed. Though it's worth noting that Indian Wells has been a traditionally bad event for the former world number 1, never advancing beyond round 4, possibly to do with the slower bounce, which Medvedev doesn't like.
I don't want to play here on this circuit.
Though his year started badly, with a round 3 exit at the Australian Open, he looks to be at his best again. He has 3 titles to his name already, and ended Novak Djokovic's win streak in the process. A proven player on top form in a reduced field. However, he's never been beyond round 4 before, so anything from a quarter-final onwards would be a good result. But of all the players in the draw, Medvedev is probably the most capable of winning the title. My personal prediction is that Medvedev will beat Alcaraz in the final. Medvedev's form and motivation are at a high, and he's back at his world number 1 form. WTA favourites. Iga Swiatek. Iga Swiatek, the top seed, the world number 1 and the defending champion. 2022 was a dominant year for the Pole. No one was even close to her. She's a complete player with aggression and variety. Though she's been consistent in 2023, she has been beatable. 2022 saw her rise to the top of women's tennis. A 31-match win streak included her Indian Wells run. She crushed the competition and beat Maria Sakkari in the final. Swiatek has a title to her name this year in Qatar, but lost in round 4 of the Australian Open, and lost the final of the first WTA 1000 event of the year in Dubai. The Pole is in good form, but not as good as last year. Swiatek is still the queen of women's tennis, 4,000 points clear of the world number 2. She is still the favourite to win, but as stated, she isn't unbeatable this year. Aryna Sabalenka. The ultimate winner-hitting machine finally found her stride in the Australian Open. Sabalenka is back at world number 2 with newfound confidence in herself. She's looking strong going into Indian Wells. 2022 saw Sabalenka out in round 2 to Paolini. It's not normally an event that goes well for her either, never passing the 4th round before. The slower surface doesn't favour all-out attack. She's the Australian Open champion with a quarter-final in Dubai. She's on good form, but as always with Sabalenka, it's temperamental. Due to her mentality, play style and less than ideal conditions, it's entirely possible for her to take an early exit. But a quarter-final here would be a solid result for the world number 2. Barbara Krejcikova. The best women's doubles player is at it again. Krejcikova is a singles champion of the WTA 1000 in Dubai. Now she comes to Indian Wells as one of the favourites, in the singles and the doubles. In 2022, she was the top seed, but withdrew due to injury. Her only other singles result here is a 4th round in 2021. Incidentally, she's never won the doubles, but did make a final in 2019. The last big tournament was Krejcikova's, the Dubai 1000. She beat the world number 1, 2 and 3 in the same run. Earlier in the year, she won the Australian Open doubles with Siniakova, and made the 4th round in the singles. She seems to be in good form, though it's hard to tell whether the singles or doubles has her focus. It's impossible to say how well Krejcikova will do. A more reliable prediction could be made about her doubles prospects, but as for the singles, she could go out in any round, but equally she could make the final. It may be a stretch to suggest that she could win the title, but it's not impossible. Elena Rybakina. Rybakina, the Wimbledon champion, looked for a short while to be on the brink of winning her 2nd slam. With her big serve and cool demeanour, she beat the top seed Swiatek, but was denied in the final by Sabalenka, and remains criminally underrated by the rankings. The Kazakh is a proven winner and is looking for her first WTA 1000 title. This could be her chance. Last year she made the quarter-final, but lost to Maria Sakkari, her best result of 2 entries. Apart from the Australian Open final, her season has been rather meagre, failing to have a good run in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Rybakina has a potentially very tough path ahead of her and could do well to break the quarterfinals again, but on her day she can beat anyone. Personal prediction. My prediction is that Swiatek beats Rybakina in one semi-final and Pegula beats Sabalenka in another semi-final, and Swiatek will beat Pegula in the final. 3 of the best and most informed players are on one side of the draw. I back the consistency of Swiatek. She's proven that she can win here, and she's still the best player on the tour. The best players in the world are in the Californian desert. As the bulk of the 2023 tennis season gets underway, a new trophy and 1,000 ranking points is a good way to kick off. Who will capture them? There's a lot of great tennis on the way before we find out. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you liked the video, and leave a comment if you have feedback. And if you want to get to know tennis, subscribe.